I did. In fact, I forgot to do that. I was doing magic at Turnberry at New Year this year, and I forgot to say that to this seemingly very wealthy couple that I did the magic for, and the lady picked the name of her mother. It was it's a Polish name, and man alive, I couldn't pronounce it, but I was able to see it. And when it was revealed, she got really upset, and I was like, I'm so sorry. But it turned out okay, because I sheepishly left the table, and moments later the husband came over and gave me a massive tip, and he was like, oh, don't worry about it, you were great, I can't believe you got that name, she's amazed, and blah blah blah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Desert Island Tricks. We are back up in Scotland today with today's guest, and I remember first hearing this man's name one day, Forrest, who is a previous episode, so do go listen to that, one of our early episodes, and he showed me an effect where some writing, some dots were on the back of a card, and then they morphed into some writing, and that trick became Flux, which was Roddy's, I'm not sure if it's his first trick, I think it was his first trick to the community, and then after that, of course, there are some incredible tricks. Of course, one of them in particular gets mentioned quite often, and that is Little Door. And if you haven't seen Little Door, my goodness, get it, because it is phenomenal. His magic is always completely different to everyone else's. There is a very distinctly Roddy type of trick, which is whimsical. It's normally a bit out there. It's normally, like I say, just totally different to what anyone else is doing. So that's why this podcast is going to be an absolute joy to listen to. Of course, I've already mentioned his name, and you've seen his name on the title, so I don't know why I do this every time, like you don't know who this guest is. It is the wonderful Roddy McGhie. Hello, Roddy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well now that you're here.
Oh, shucks, thank you. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm very excited to have you on here. We've been trying to get you on here for a little while, but you are a very busy man, not just creating, but you do co-own a magic company. So tell us about your new company.
Yeah, so Noel Qualter and I have a company called Trick Boom. I think this is us into our second year now. But yeah, we started this company and we're going strong. We're currently working on the trailer for our new release, which hopefully will come out next week from the date of this recording, which is an exclusive. We haven't mentioned it yet. I'll probably get in trouble from Noel for saying that, but we're about to drop our new release. And yeah, it's great. It's the hardest I've worked in my life, to be honest. I am a sort of one-man little sweatshop sitting manufacturing gimmicks 24/7. But no, it's exciting, and yeah, that's that. I don't really know much more to say about it. Yeah, check us out, tricktrickboom.com. We've got some awesome tricks out already, and more amazing miracles to come. So that's that.
Well, Noel has nipped into the shop a couple of times and showed us some of the things that you guys are working up to, and some of them are just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. They're so clever, they're so practical, and a lot of the time, like I said, your effects are quite whimsical. There's always some sort of clever hook or a clever through line, or sometimes just a joke, which is brilliant that a trick is built around. So how do you come up with all of these sorts of weird, whimsically strange ideas?
Yeah, Joe, I wish I knew, but I suppose it's just the way my brain works. But Noel and I have been friends for years, sort of magic friends, and Noel has always been like a muse for me, really. He's great at just saying something random, like, what if you had a deck of cards that was out of date? This bastard's, what's the trick? And that just gets my brain going, right? You know, you'll just say some comment, hey, what about this for a premise? You know, and he just throws a thing out there, and it sends me off in mad directions. And because that's what I need, that's what I crave, is just that little seed of someone saying something or seeing something weird or seeing something in a film and going, oh, I wonder if that could be a trick. You know, I think it's just been open to any influence, really. I mean, I don't read a lot of magic books, or because I kind of have this thing of feeling that you're kind of, if you read a lot of magic books, I kind of feel like I'm trying to reinvent what's already been invented. So I kind of take my influences from other places, but definitely Noel and I together, we haven't had a lot of time to do it of late, because we've been so busy trying to get our tricks out there, the ones that we've created already. But when we get time together to just, I mean, we speak every day, but when we have time together just to talk about tricks, there's always something comes out of it. You know, one of us will make a comment that sends the other one off in some random direction, and then eventually we'll converge into something that is completely different from what we started with. So yeah, I don't really know. I lecture and I talk quite often. My lecture's about creativity and methods behind it, but the truth is it's such an elusive thing. I mean, you know yourself as a creator, sometimes you have no idea where the idea came from. It's just there. And I firmly believe that if you have a little seed of an idea, I plant it in my brain, and then I just get on with my life and I say, just you work on that, and my subconscious will work away on it. And that's when you get that kind of light bulb moment where you go, you didn't suddenly think of it, your brain was working on it while you were doing other things. That's what I think anyway.
A second ago, you just mentioned your book, and you mentioned that you don't read a lot. So that may give us an insight into the ending without giving anything away. But how did you find putting your list together? Did you find it a hard thing or an easy thing?
God, impossible, almost impossible. I'm still doing it as we speak. I mean, I've got a little list in front of me. I have 9 books on this list. After saying I'm not a big magic book person. I love magic books, but I find I'm very easily distracted, as you'll tell from all these tangents that will go off during this conversation. So when I came to try and decide on a book, you're like, to sit down and read a book, I get easily distracted. I'm off elsewhere doing other things. But yeah, trying to choose one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 9 on here just now, which I'm hoping by the time we get to the book part, I'll have narrowed it down. And the same with the tracks, picking the tracks. It's like, it's an almost impossible task. I have 8, but oh my God, it was so difficult because I love magic and there are so many amazing things out there, and I didn't want to just say 8 of mine. I did really, but I thought I better not. But yeah, it was really tough, really, really tough.
Well, don't forget you are allowed honourable mentions, so you can have the occasional honourable mention if you want.
Yeah, okay.
Now, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, the idea is we are about to maroon Roddy on his very own Scottish island. When he's there, he's allowed to take with him 8 tricks, banish 1 thing, take 1 book, and 1 non-magic item that he uses for magic. Particulars like who's there, what's there, are there animals there, are there people there, all that good stuff. We do not mind. It's in Roddy's very whimsical imagination. So we don't need to know any of that. It's basically the list of tricks that he could not live without. With that being said, let's go to Roddy's island now and find out what he put in position 1.
Okay, well, I was thinking about the whole island premise, and I decided that I'm not going to go for any of that castaway stuff where I'm having to spear fish in a lagoon and all that sort of nonsense. No, dying from a cut on my hand. No, I want a luxury island. That's what I'm going to have, a luxury island where, like, I'll invite people to come that I can perform magic to, and it'll be like sort of kind of, lovely private island with. Well, actually, do you know what? Now that I've said that, that sounds like a famously dodgy private island that people get invited to. Forget the island thing. I'll just get the first thing. So my first pick is Stand Up Monty by Garrett Thomas, which is, it's an absolute powerhouse, this trick. So it is basically the 3 carve Monty routine, where you have two cards the same, and one is the money card. Like maybe you have, like 2 5s and an ace or something like that. I think it's a queen actually with the set I've got. So, and then you go through a series of just the standard Monty routine where they have to find the card and it's never where they think it is. And it's just, there's so much magic happens in it, and it just uses one move that you do over and over. And also, but you just need to learn the procedure as well. And I love it. It's like, I do it as my, not my opener as such. I open with, pretty much always open with Kieran Johnson's Lollipop production, which is just almost made the list because it's absolutely fantastic, and it establishes you as the magician right at the start. I like to approach, because I do restaurant residencies and weddings and stuff like that, and I have a residency I do every week, and I don't like to go up to a table and say, hello, I'm the magician and blah blah blah, and have to break through that wall. So I usually go up and I'm wearing the suit, so they assume I'm the manager or the bouncer or something, and I ask them if they're waiting on food. And I say, well, actually, while we're waiting, this might seem odd, but I have little raffle tickets here, and if it starts with a 5, you could win a prize. And by then they're going, what? And I light it, and there's a lollipop, and now I say I'm the magician. So now at this point, I've created a lollipop from fire, and I've bribed them with confectionery, so I'm in there. So even though, let's count that as an honourable mention then, but then I'm straight into stand-up Monty, because now you establish yourself as an absolute sleight-of-hand wizard. Because this trick is incredible. It's like the card's here and it's there and it's in their hand and it changes, and then all the cards change at the end. And there's just so much happening. It's like hitting them over the head with magic. And you can do it really quickly, also rapid pace, and do it in like a minute or so. But I love it. I saw Garrett Thomas doing it at Blackpool, and I stood and watched him doing it over and over until I had the measure of it, and then I thought, I've got to have that, and I bought it and never watched the instructions. It's terrible. I know a lot of magicians do this, and it breaks my heart that I know people, we get messages from people all the time saying, I'm kind of struggling with this part of the trick, like from a trick, boom trick, and they just haven't watched the instructions because it's in there. It's like the first thing, and you have to say, well, you should do this, and this. But I'm guilty of it as well. I thought, right, I know what I'm doing here. And I just I remember sitting in my little B&B at Blackpool, going over it, trying to remember what I watched them doing. So I think my routine is probably the same, but it's a fantastic trick. And I've seen it perform poorly, I have to say. As much as it is easy, there's this one move. You need to get it down. You need to do it with confidence. But it absolutely blows people away. And that's my number one there. I think I've pretty much always got 4 cards in my jacket pocket somewhere, which is not really particularly organic. If someone says, can you show me something? You go, hold on. Oh, I just happen to have 4 cards in the pocket, right? But I think if I was forced to just, in a position where I thought, right, I can do one trick, it would probably be that. If I had to do one card trick, it would be that, because wow, it's incredible, and it beats every other Monty routine in my opinion, because there's just so much that happens, and that's my number one.
What was it about stand-up Monty that made you want to do this particular version of the Monty plot?
I don't know. I think I was just blown away when I saw Garrett Thomas performing it, and I think I must have watched him do it 2 or 3 times or more before I kind of twigged of what the method might be. Because traditionally with there's certain way you hold the cards with, like Skinner's Monty, for example. And as magicians, we're kind of switched on to things like that. And the method for Garrett's is, when you know it, you're like, oh God, really? That was it? That's it? But it's so deceptive, especially when he performs it, because obviously he's Garrett Thomas, right? And I think it looked so clean when I saw it being performed. And also, you can, the name, the clue in the name, you can do it standing up. And I do a lot of wedding receptions and stuff like that, where you can just do this in people's hands. You don't need a table. It's very practical in that sense. And it's just fantastic.
Well, I think that's a great opening gambit and leads us very nicely into number 2. So what did you put in your second spot?
Well, self-indulgently, I went for Little Door, my trick Little Door in position number 2, because it's been my biggest hit, really, right? And it's the kind of thing that sort of put me on the edge of the map slightly. I'd had other tricks out before, like you mentioned. I had Flux, and I had another trick out with Full 52. We only did a short run of it before Flux, which I can't remember the name of now. But Little Door was really a massive thing for me, and it really kind of set me on this path. Now, so to describe the trick, I always do it as I say to people, I'm going to tell you a little secret, right? And it's between us, so conspiratorially, I'll say, do you want you look like the kind of person that likes the secret. Do you want me? I'll teach you a trick. I'll tell you how it's done. And then I say, another magician showed me this. He had me select a card, and he shuffled them, and he put them in the box, and then he did this, and I hold the box up to my head, sort of mentalism style, and then do a very obvious squint like I'm looking at the box, and then he said 4 of clubs, and it was. But the secret was he could see through the box. He had a special sort of magician's card box, and it looked really ordinary, and I let them have a look at it. So it just looks like a tatty old card box, but I had a little secret. Let me show you, hold on. And I bring a pen out, a Sharpie out, and I draw a little rectangle where the index of the card would be on the box, and then a little handle, and I say it's a door. It had a little door in it. So all I had to do was get my card to the bottom. In this case, it's whatever, the King of Hearts, pop the cards in, and then I open up the little door, and you can see inside the box, you can see the card that's on the bottom of the deck that I just showed them a moment before. And then I say, oh, and here's the amazing thing though, it was so well made that, I take the cards out at this point, and then I say so well made that it was almost completely invisible, and then I just rub that door away, and it just vanishes, and you can hand them the box at this point, and they go mental. So it's again, if I know I said stand-up Monty was if I could only do one card trick, I would do that. Little Door's not really a card trick. It's a box trick, really. It's all the magic happens in the box. The cards are beside the point, really. People never remember. And the thing with Little Door is no one selects a card. It's very relaxed for your participant, right? Because if you say to a lay person, okay, pick a card now, remember that, we'll come back to it in a minute, then we think as magicians, okay, they're watching the magic and they're loving it, and we're getting to it. But in reality, most lay people are sitting there going 4 of clubs, 4 of clubs, 4 of clubs all the time, because they think, if I forget this, I'm going to ruin everything. And it's not natural for people to remember playing cards, right? So they're constantly going 4 of clubs, and they're trying to remember it. But with Little Door, no one's picking a card. No one's having to remember a card. I'm just telling a story. And I find when I perform it that people, they don't realise it's a trick until it's too late, because you're just telling them a little story, right? And they're like, God, why is he drawing on the box with a Sharpie? That's mad. And then when you open the door, they go, oh, what? And strangely, it's a weird thing. If anyone performs Little Door, and I know there's a few people do, you've got to do this, right? This is a tiny little thing, but for some reason, it adds another beat to it. So when I open the Little Door and I show them it, you get that first moment where they go, oh, what's happening here? That's mad. Then I close it up again, and then I say to them, do you want to open it? And I offer them the box. I hold it and I get them to open the door. And it's just a little thing that I never used to do. I just started doing it. I can't remember who said this. Someone else said this on the podcast, is that you get some of the best lines and the best parts of tricks you get come from your audience. And I get some of my best lines from things that people say, and I go, oh, I'm having that. I'll remember that for next time. And I think once someone said to me, can I open it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I let them do it. And for some reason, when they are able to open it, they go, and they get another beat on it. It's so weird because they expect not to be able to open it. And sometimes what happens if someone's got dry fingers and they try and open it, they can't. And then they go, oh my God, and then I open it and they go, oh, he can do it. It's weird. You're getting another beat for nothing. You're getting another part for doing absolutely nothing. So if they can open it, they're like, wow. If they can't open it, they're like, oh, you sneaky magician, man. You're getting another magic moment. It's so weird. The thing with Little Door was I came up with it, and I honestly don't remember what influenced it. I found my original gimmick about a year ago, found it in a drawer, and I had a little tiny door drawn on it. I honestly don't remember. I assume it's probably G. Sankey. He probably influenced me. He likes to draw on a lot of things. And I decided I was going to produce it myself. So I didn't have money for it. I worked it out that I would need, I think I needed something like £2,000 or £3,000 or something like that to make it. And I borrowed money from a friend. A friend said to me, I'll lend you it. I was like, no, I can't do that. He said, yeah, sure. I said, all right, if you lend me, I'll pay you back in this time and I'll give you this much extra. And he was like, no problem. And oh man, the amount of pressure. I remember being in this, I had to go to this industrial printers to get the specific finish that I needed for the card boxes and stuff. And I remember when him giving me the little card machine, I had to type in my number to pay £850 for prints, for like cardboard, and it wasn't my money. And I was just like, oh my God, what if this doesn't sell? What if no one likes this? And oh God, I remember the moment, and my heart was going. But thankfully, it did really well. I sold it through Penguin and their partner scheme. So they have this thing where you can go into their site and you can put up your own photos and your own listing. You send your product to them, to the warehouse, and they just do all your sales for you, and they take a percentage. And it used to be quite a small percentage. I think it's quite a bit bigger now because of Little Door, funnily enough, I think. So they take a percentage and they just sell it every time someone buys one. They send it out and blah, blah, blah. And I put it in there, and I kind of... I made a trailer for it myself, and I put on the Magic Cafe, and I kind of deliberately, I kind of gamed the Magic Cafe a little bit. I feel bad about it now, but what I did was I got my phone and I sort of sellotaped a Sharpie marker just over the camera, and then I switched the light off. You just put a lamp, switched all the lights off, put a lamp in, and then I drew the door onto the box, so you had this really close-up image of just a pen nib. You can still see it on YouTube, just like drawing the door, and I had sort of music, kind of cool music going, and then it just said coming soon, Little Door coming soon. Like a teaser trailer, right? Not a lot of folk were doing the teasery thing then, and I knew it would annoy people. I kinda knew it would annoy people. So I put it up, and of course, in the cafe, people were going mental, going, what is this? I don't even know what it is. And they were getting all annoyed. And then I followed it up with a just straight to camera performance. Did it at my work at the time when I was on night shift. I set my camera up and I filmed it, and I put it up. I said, sorry, I was just trying to get people excited. Here's the trick, straight to camera with no cuts and stuff. And then it blew up, and then Penguin ended up going to #1 in Penguin. And they said they'd never had a partner trick go to #1 before. So it got to the point then where I was coming home from, at the time I was working as a mental health support worker, and I was coming home at night from my shifts and then going into my garage and making Little Doors for hours and hours, and then getting up in the morning and going to work, and then in my lunch break I was making them, and it just got... It was too much. I couldn't cope with it. It basically led to Sean Dunn at Penguin saying, "Look, we can take over production of this, and we'll give you X amount royalty for it," and blah blah blah. There's an even longer story involved there, but I agreed to it, and that then led to Penguin offering me a position with them. And for nearly 6 years, I worked with Penguin, just creating magic and making gimmicks and various other things. So Little Door was really, and that allowed me to give up my job, basically, which, I always did very stressful social care job since I left school. And the Little Door allowed me to leave the real world behind. and after Penguin, I started my business with and here we are now. So it was a massive trip for me, and it just, when you perform it for people, it's something different. It's not what they're expecting. Like I said before, they don't realise it's a trick until it's too late, and it just gets the best reactions for me. People are absolutely bamboozled by it, and that's my number 2. Oh my God, the other ones will be quicker, don't worry.
Yeah, Little Door really is a phenomenal trick, and I know it's one that lots of people have mentioned on the podcast, and rightly so, and I'm glad that it's on your list. I would have been a little bit sad if it wasn't on your list, so well done for putting that on. And it does lead us into number 3. So what did you put in your third spot?
I chose Optics by Tobias Dostal. So Tobias he's a genius. He is an artist, and wow, I am in total awe of Tobias Dostal. His magic is so sort of just beautiful and artistic and clever and engaging and different. And I want to be him when I grow up. It's like anytime. I remember a few years ago when I was in the Ruskin, and I had my little bag of tricks that I always have, my little bag of stuff. And other people I was kind of almost holding court a little bit, because someone had said, "Oh, can you show them this? Can you show them that?" And I'm showing people tricks. And then as soon as Tobias came in, he came in and someone knew him. They were like, "Oh, Tobias, come over." I instantly put everything back and zipped it up and put it under the chair and just sat quietly. I thought, no, I can't compete, man. This guy's something else. But Optics is wow. Is wow. So Optics, to synopsisize, I should do that. You ask to borrow someone's phone. You say, can you put it onto the camera for me? I'm going to show you something cool. You take the phone off them, you switch the light on, and then you say, "Oh, actually, can you film this in my phone?" You then go into your pocket, into your jacket, you hand them your phone, you have them film it, and then you just openly vanish their phone. The light's still on, and it's gone. Your hands are empty. And at that point, they discover that they're actually filming it on their own phone, which is just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And when I first saw it performed, I just couldn't get my head around it. I was like, what? And then I got it, and I think the thing with Tobias' stuff is, and it's the same with a lot of magicians as well. It's like, I remember seeing Danny De Ortiz lecture in Spain years and years ago, and I remember buying a couple of the tricks at the end of it, and then realising when I get back to my apartment that I can't perform this. I'm not him, right? You need to be him to do this stuff. And there's something about Tobias' stuff, particularly like silhouette and stuff like that. There's something about the way Tobias does it. So I think it frightens people when they get the trick, they're amazed, and then they find it a bit difficult and they're nervous with it. So I knew personally quite a few magicians who bought Optics when it was at Blackpool and just didn't perform it. Too nervous. Or what if they know it's their phone? What if they see what happens? And I thought, I was doing a residency, so I need a lot of material. I get a lot of regulars coming back, and I need to be adding material quite a lot. So I had no choice. I had to perform it, and I really wanted to. And I got out there and I did it. And the fact is, sometimes they do notice when you hand the phone to them, which you are purporting to be your phone, and they go, "Hang on a second." But at that point, they look up at you and you vanish that one, and that it's still amazing. It's still amazing. And for the other people watching who haven't noticed it's their phone, they have a whole different reaction. So I would say to people, I said to loads of people I know, honestly, go out and do it. Don't be nervous. It's so worth it. Because I do it after I've performed at a table, and I'm kind of scoping it out and seeing if there's a phone which is going to be ideal for me, right? because essentially you can use any phone, right? But I'm not going to choose something that's like got a bright yellow case, although you can do that, you can get away with that. So I'll scope it out, and as I'm leaving the table, so I'll show you something else. Can I borrow your phone? And then I vanish it, and I say, thanks very much, you can keep that as a souvenir, and I walk off. And now I can hear them reacting later on. I mean, I'm dying to hang about. Sometimes I'm round the corner listening when they realise it's their phone, but oh my God, it is incredible. Tobias he's something else, this guy. He is really something else. And I wish I had his touch. He's something else. And optics, if you don't, I know Optics Pro is out now, which I almost bought at Blackpool, but I'm kind of in love with my original optics now. I like the old method. I'll probably pick up the Pro version at some point, because the original one did have some flaws mechanically when it came to the light and stuff like that. But optics is amazing. That's my number 3.
And what I was going to say earlier on, I didn't say it, but if I was to liken your type of magic to another creator who is around now, it would have been Tobias. Like, when you think about Tobias and what he does, it's almost like you're living in a film.
Yeah, do you know, he's such an artist. It's incredible, the stuff he does.
But I think that's a great choice, and it leads us very nicely into number 4. So what did you put in your 4th spot?
So number 4 is sponge balls, which I know that'll probably surprise a few people. And I know it pops up a lot, because I went through my list and I thought, I don't want to choose things that other people have picked, but the fact is, these are the ones for me. Sponge balls, I'm probably going to say the same thing that other magicians who have picked sponge balls on this podcast have said, that a lot of magicians are very snobby about it. I'm not going to do a sponge ball. Oh God, it's so cheesy. But man alive, I get the best reactions using sponge balls. People absolutely love them. And it does seem kind of cheesy and a bit weird, but I don't concern myself too much with performing a particular style of magic. As you'll see, I've got other things. My next one coming up is more of a mentalist thing, but I will mix that up with doing sponge balls and other weird stuff. Magic is magic to me. I'm not, this is mentalism, this is mental magic. It's just like whatever works for me, and sponge balls works for me. It's great because I do a lot of, let's say I do the restaurants, and I do weddings and stuff like that. So there's always kids there as well, and people think of sponge balls as being a kids thing, which it's not. It's absolutely not. I mean, I don't do the ding dong thing and all that. I'm not into that. But I do sponge balls for adults, but I do it for kids as well. So at weddings and all these kind of things, I do exactly the same magic for kids that I do for adults. I just do it maybe slightly differently. Like, I'll do stand-up Monty for little kids. They can understand that card is gone and it's changed and stuff. Little Door will do that for them. But sponge balls, man, I dropped it for years. Like, I started doing it as you do when you start doing magic, and then I dropped it as well. I was like, it's like crappy kids magic. That's like the guy with the playing card tie does the sponge balls, and I'm not going to do that. But there's no denying the reaction it has on people. Like, at the point where you put one in their hand and you have one in your hand and it vanishes and they open their hand, they've got two. There's no denying that reaction. People are just like, oh my God. And like Mark Bennett said the other day, even though they know they're spongy, when they open their hand and they've got these two big balls there, and it's like, they don't, how's that happened? You know, it's brilliant. And the routine I do with it is very basic. I use a purse frame to produce a couple of balls at the start, and then I don't do any magic for a good few minutes with the sponge balls. I milk it and I cheese it up for ages. Like, I have the two, and I do the whole two in the hand and saying, did you see it? They've switched places. And then I do it again. I go, that's a hard bit, we're going to do it. And then I go, now they've switched back. And people are just like, oh man. I mean, I would do that as an opener. I don't generally do it, but I like the idea of it. Like, I used to do Dr. Daly's Last Trick as an opener, like way back. And other magicians were like, oh my God, that's not an opener. But I think it's great as an opener, because you're establishing, right? So the thing with Dr. Dale's last trick is, you put the card in their hand, they have the red aces, you've got the black aces, and the one on top of the other, and you say, I'm going to make the heart. And the way Bill Malone does it's brilliant. You're going to make the heart and the spade change places, and how you do that, and you go, they've changed places. That was the easy bit. Now I'm going to put them back the way they were. Now at this point, when people haven't seen any magic, they're going, oh my God, this guy's terrible. So their expectations are down. So at the point you say, well, the really hard bit was getting them over here and the cards have completely switched, then the reaction's even better because they thought you were awful. So I kind of think that way with the sponge balls as well, when you're doing the whole, well, look, they've switched places, they've switched back. Then I put one in someone's hand. I say, what's your name? John, whatever. You hold it. And then I go, open your hand. And I go, and they've switched places again. And he's not in on it. How do you even explain that? We've never met. And I make a big thing of this before I actually do any magic with them, and it gets a laugh. It kind of conditions them, and the person's held the ball as well. They know what to do. I've instructed them, So the point where I eventually do it, and it goes in my pocket, and it comes through the jacket, and blah blah blah. At the point when they think they're holding one, and they open their hand, there's two. Then I've primed them for that reaction, and then I just do it with a few people on the table until eventually someone opens their hands. There's like 6 of them, and then I have an extra little kicker because I use orange sponge balls. The super soft ones that you can't really get anymore, and I lost one of them. So I went looking. I thought I've got some somewhere else, and I found them, and it's a totally different coloured orange. It's like a dark orange, the one that I found, and it looks like tangerine. So I thought I'll just use that. And at the end, when they open their hand and they've got like 6 or 7 of them, and I'm like, did you bring these with you? I mean, you're not supposed to. Like, I'm the magician. They don't bring your own tricks, man. And I would just make a joke of it, and I pick up the dark one and I say, that one's not even the right colour, that one looks like a tangerine. I throw it in there, and when I catch it as a tangerine, and then I confiscate it and I say, you'll get them back at the end. So sponge balls, love it. More people should do it. I know people are snobby about it, but man, they're great fun, and people love it. Like the late public, they love a bit of the old sponge balls.
Well, I like that you seem to have developed your routine more. So like the through the pocket part and the tangerine part, I've not heard those two moments before. So how did you develop? I mean, you mentioned the tangerine was almost incidental because you had the one missing.
Because I had to replace the one I lost, and it turned out it was a different colour, and I thought, how can I justify this? And I thought, oh, it looks the same colour as a tangerine, so I'll just change it into a tangerine, which is very easy. If you're holding it in your hand and you pick it up and boss it and catch it, it's now a tangerine. So yeah, it does mean that every week I'm buying tangerines, which I generally don't eat. I usually I'm Scottish, don't eat fruit. What's that all about? We need to get tangerines imported up here in Scotland. I'm not going to buy into that cliche. We eat plenty of fruit. But I usually give it to people quite often. I take the balls back and say, you can keep the tangerine if you want. It's very silly. And the through the pocket just allows me to set up for the next part of it,
I'm concerned that you and Mark Bennett are losing one ball. I feel like this must be the magic equivalent of losing one sock. There's like sock heaven somewhere where all these socks are going to. Somewhere there's just a big pile of sponge balls that you and Mark Bennett are missing. Well, that leads us to number 5. So what did you put in your 5th spot?
So number 5 is it's a kind of mentalist thing. It is a trick by Oz Perlman called "What's in a Name" from Into the Abyss, and it's a mentalist thing. It's very direct, kind of mind reading thing. So it was a DVD that came out years ago, Into the Abyss. I think it had like 3 tricks on it. Now, I did think I'm going to have to look back on this and research it for talking about it, and I forgot to do that, so I'm just going from memory here. I think there was 3 tricks on it, and they were pretty much the same, the 3 of them, but the What's in a Name was the main one, and the one that I do. And essentially what it is you have someone, think of someone close to them, and then you reveal that you knew that name that they were thinking of. And the way I do is I have it in a wallet, and I open it up, and in the zip compartment there's a folded business card that they take out, and this wallet has been on the table the entire time, or someone else has been holding on to it before they even thought of a name. When you take it out and it says written on the business card, does the name Jonathan ring a bell, or whatever the name is? and it's so powerful and it's so well constructed. Now, I will say to anyone, if you're thinking of looking into this and getting it, you will need, they don't really teach you the method for obtaining the information that you need to obtain, really. They kind of do, but most magicians will have their own, I'm trying to skirt around this, but you know what I mean, most people have their own method of getting that bit of information. The really clever part of it is that name tells you so much that the process that you go through where you're writing down, you're guessing information about this person and you're writing it down, is you're so justified in writing that down. It's great, it's so well constructed. But then I do this, God, this is certainly going to annoy quite a few people. But you know, like I said before, I don't really massively distinguish between this is mentalism, this is magic, this is that. I'll do everything. When I do that, I used to use the thought transmitter for that part of it, for getting the information. I use the Insider now by Mark Oberon, another genius in our industry, which is a great little thing. So when I bring this out, I've got a hip Malika wallet, plus a notepad, plus the little index cards, the Insider thing, with 2 rubber bands wrapped around it, like this massive packet I bring in my pocket. And I take the bands off and I do can you think of a name of someone close to you? Blah, blah, blah. And I give someone else the wallet. And then I do some rubber band magic. Oh, it's mad. I mix mentalism with rubber bands, which I know I'll probably get crucified for. But I do it as an aside. I've got the bands and I go, oh, here's an interesting thing. You know, you can do this with a rubber band. I won't tell you the stuff I do because that's a whole other thing. I do a thing with the rubber band like it's just a piece of information I'm giving them. And then I go, oh, actually, sorry, you were thinking of a name. Let's get back to that. So it's a whole kind of routine thing. So by the time we get to the name at the end, it's like, it's an amazing thing. It's amazing. And I always find in a lot of mentalism where you have to gain information and then write something down, it's very difficult to justify why you're writing something down at that point. But for me, what's in a name justifies that entirely. It's a fantastic thing. And I know probably not many people do. I've never heard anyone else mention they do it. But wow, it's like, it blows people away. The only caveat, I'm going to tell you about a little bit of a sad story here. So I've learned now that when I say to people, think of the name of someone close to you, I have to say, oh, by the way, don't pick someone who's recently departed. It's not that kind of trick, right? Because I had to do, so my dad passed away a few years ago, just suddenly. And maybe 2 days after it, I had a gig at this Audi thing, and of course I wasn't going to do it, right? Because we were in massive shock at the time, and my mum had said to me, "Oh, your dad would go mental if he knew you were turning down cash if you were," and she was right. He would have went mad at me, right? So I went and I did the gig, and it's like we all have to do this as performers sometimes, especially if you're unwell or something's happened. Doctor show will get you through it, right? You get through there and you get into it and you do it, and then deal with whatever it was afterwards. So I went and I did it, but right at the end when I was finishing, it was the manager of the place. She said, "Can you show me something?" And I did Into the Abyss with her. And I said, think of the name of someone close to her. So at the end, when she took the card out and she unfolded it, she started kind of welling up. She thought, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's my dad's name, and he just died recently." And at that point, I was like, yeah. But like, I started getting upset, and I was like, actually, my dad actually just passed away a couple of days ago, and man, it was a weird moment. I got my money and got out of there kind of quick. So again, I'm off on a tangent there, but I will say to people, when you're asking someone to think of a name, unless you're going to be doing any of these kind of spiritualist type things, make sure that they don't pick someone who's died. Right? Because it's heavy duty. I did, in fact, I forgot to do that. I was doing Magic at Turnberry New Year this year, and I forgot to say that to this seemingly very wealthy couple that I did the magic for, and the lady picked the name of her mother. It was it's a Polish name, and man alive, I couldn't pronounce it, but I was able to see it and try and remember what the letters looked like when you know what I mean, when you've been in that position. And when it was revealed, she got really upset, and I was like, I'm so sorry. But it turned out okay, because I sheepishly left the table, and moments later the husband came over and gave me a massive tip, and he was like, oh, don't worry about it, you were great, I can't believe you got that name, she's amazed, and blah blah blah. So yeah, that is my, what's that, number 5? Jesus. Number 5. It's a great thing, and I don't have any problem mixing mentalism with magic at all. I think so. Does he a problem with it, frankly?
Well, I think what's interesting there is you mentioned about the writing down the name of a deceased loved one. That happens a lot.
Because there's no denying it's certainly powerful, and I have had it. It's happened several times to me until I got to the point where I was instructing people not to do it. And it's never been a negative thing. I've perceived it as being negative, but then people have come up to me afterwards and said, no, thank you. Although I did have one time I did it at somebody's birthday party, and I didn't realise it was the sort of matriarch of the family had died recently. There was this big, massive Irish family that did this birthday, and someone had chosen that name, and it come up, and the grandson, who was a big fella, got quite upset at it, and then he came up to me and harangued me later on. He's like, you need to tell me how you know that. You need to tell me how you know it. I was like, it's just a trick, man, honestly. But he was drunk and upset, and I got to the point almost where I was going to show him the method, because I didn't want to get knocked out. But I think someone intervened, and was like, his mum came over and went, oh, come on, it's okay. And she was like, sorry, don't worry. But it did almost get me into trouble once. But wow, it's an incredibly powerful routine, and I love the way it's structured, and everything's kind of justified. When you get the information, the point of them supplying the information and you revealing it, there's enough time goes between then, and enough process happens between those moments that it just totally negates them giving you the information at the start. It's a great thing. I use it, and quite often use it in conjunction with Invisible Date, which I was going to put on here, honourable mention. That's brilliant. I'm just going to mention that. If you look it up yourself, if you don't, I think it's so much better than Invisible Deck. But Invisible Date, wow, brilliant thing.
Well, that's nice, because that's another one that I've not heard of, and I'm sure lots of people haven't. So that's one that we can all go and explore. So, thanks for putting that one in there.
I will tell you quickly, right? I know it's one I quite like to. Oh, man, it's great. I can't remember the chap. I can't remember his name. English magician. I think Carl Sharp do it now. But you say to someone, think of a date that's important to you, any day of the year, and they'll say, I don't know, the 12th of August, and you go, oh my God, what a coincidence. Because in this deck, I preface it with the usual thing of talking about how the deck is related to the calendar and all that jazz. And you go, that's such a weird thing. In this deck, I have 2 jokers. There'll be one near the top, one near the bottom. The only cards that are face down. And as you spread through, you find these 2 face down jokers, and you take them out. And she says, here's the weird thing. The only 2 face down cards, but also they're the only cards I wrote something on. And when you turn them over, it says 12th of August, like 12th on one and August on the other. Man alive. Like, the Invisible Deck's brilliant, but when you do something that's personal to someone, like a date, it's fantastic. I've been singing the praises of this for a while, telling all the magicians friends that I know should get a hold of this. It's brilliant. So, that was one that was going to be on the list.
Hello guys, I'm here to talk to you about Alakazam Unlimited. This is the best streaming platform in the world, I'm telling you now. With Alakazam Unlimited, you get access to over 150 magic routines. This is video performances and explanations. We have card magic, coin magic, kids magic, rope magic, mentalism, stage, parlor, impromptu. We've got you covered. All of this for the low price of just £4.99 a month. And you can cancel at any time. Perfect if you've got commitment issues. Yes, I'm talking to you. Guys, you are going to absolutely love it. If you haven't joined the platform already, what the heck are you doing? Alakazam Unlimited is a streaming platform that you need to be a part of. Not only that, there is also exclusive content only available on the platform. Check it out now, alakazam.co.uk. Cheers.
Let's find out what's in your sixth spot. So what did you put in your sixth position?
So I've picked things that I want to perform on. I think we've established on my luxury island that celebrities come to secretly, that we're going to sort of like cut that idea because that's too dodgy sounding. But I'm still going to be on my island performing for people. So I've picked things that I want to perform. This I've picked because I just want to play with it. And it's Tommy Wonder's Nest of Boxes. Tommy Wonder was like a revelation for me. So I was very much one of Roy's boys. Spent a lot of my formative years going into Tam Shepherd's in Glasgow and just learning card magic from Roy and buying his books, one of which is on my massive list of books, and just learning card magic. I was very much into sleight of hand card magic and knuckle busting moves, and that's what I was into. That's what I thought magic was really, and it was through Roy. He was like, "Oh, we've got some videos," and I think it might have been videos, or was it maybe it might have been DVDs. I can't quite remember, but he got stuff in. I mean, I would always go there to buy something from the shop. Like if I'd saved up a bit of money, I thought, I'm going to go in and buy a trick. But if I hadn't been in for a while, then Roy I'd go in and he'd go, "Oh, I've got your magazines here," and he'd have like 4 copies of Genie and 4 copies of Magic that he'd kept for the last sort of few months that I hadn't been in. And I'd be like, "Oh, okay," and I'd have to buy those, and I couldn't buy a trick. But I remember buying a couple of DVDs that changed my magic overnight entirely, completely, and one was Tommy Wonder. In fact, I bought 2 at once, and then I bought one that like a few weeks later. So Tommy Wonder, and I bought a David Regal. It was a VHS, I remember it. It was I think it was called Tricks, and then Enough of the Tricks Already, More Tricks, and then Enough of the Tricks Already. So I bought those, and then Visions of Wonder was one of these L&L things. And man alive, it's just like I'd been steeped in sort of sleight of hand card magic, and I didn't know magic could be funny and weird and like you've said, whimsical. And David Regal certainly taught me that. I'm like, man, the plots and the cards with holes and things written on them, and I hadn't really seen that before. And then Tommy Wonder as well, it was just like the ingenious nature of him. And at first I kind of see this guy in the tuxedo with the hair, and I'm like, oh, this looks a bit cheesy. But the way he presented magic was, wow, I just became a fan instantly. And then when I saw this Nest of Boxes thing, so just to synopsise what this is, and Matthew Wright has an incredible version of it, but the original one, he borrows a watch, because he says, we're going to have a little auction. He borrows a watch off of someone, wraps it in a hanky, pops it on the table, and then he goes, okay, so the first item on the list in the auction is a gentleman's watch, and then he's taking bids for this watch, and he's using this auctioneer's hammer to hit the table, and then to the point where he starts hitting the watch, and then I try to think what happens at that point. I think the table collapses as well. And then he goes, I don't worry about it, it's fine. I'll give you your share of the auction. Brings his wallet out and he gives the guy like 50 cents or something for his share of the auction. But he also gives him a present as well on the table. There's a box on a ribbon. He just picks the ribbon up, doesn't even touch the box, and hands it to the guy unlocks the box, opens up, and there's an alarm clock inside it. And then at that point, he has to unscrew the back of the alarm clock, and it's quite a process to unscrew it. And then inside is his watch. And the first time I saw it, I was just like, what? I mean, I was pretty naive when it came to that kind of thing, like objects in possible locations. It was probably one of the first things like that I had seen, and I just could not conceive of how it was possible. It's just unbelievable. And then when you find out the method, it's so ingenious. Tommy Wonder was just something else. Another just like genius, and I just want one of those to play with. I mean, I will perform it when I get good at it, but when I'm on my little island, I'm just going to be firing things into the alarm clock all day just for my own enjoyment. Genius. Oh, genius.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. And again, all of the creators that you're sort of mentioning, so you've got Tobias Dostal, now Tommy Wonder, they're all very whimsical creators. They're very unique in their style, I think. So it's clear to see their influence on your work. And I mean, we've also got Charlie Fry, which I would probably put into that same sort of whimsical out there.
What a talented man he is. Wow.
Yeah, they're all great. And that is a great choice. So someone needs to get one of the Nesta boxes over to Roddy, pretty please. If someone can do that for us, that would be great.
Like I say, Matthew Wright has got an incredible version with the mobile phone and stuff like that he does in his show. But it's Tommy's original is the one for me.
Well, that brings us to the tail end of your 8 tricks. So what's in your 7th position?
So in my 7th position is the Beard Book by Rune Clan, which is a little trick from his book Rune's World. Is that what it's called? And I love this. I absolutely love this. As soon as I read it, I immediately went out and made one. So it's not a trick you can buy, it's in his book, and it's amazing. So I used it last year. I used it as the end of my Magic Castle act, and added a little extra bit to it. So essentially what it is you can play this any way you want. I usually go, you can see I've got a weird kind of like Amish sort of beard thing going on here. I was thinking about growing a different beard, so I drew some, and then you hold a notepad, a big sort of A4, so a notepad and landscape, and you flick through it and you show them on each page as a picture, like a cartoon picture of different facial hair, like a person. I do like a picture that looks a bit like me, and it's like a handlebar moustache and then a big bushy beard, and you flick through it and show all different beards. And then you say to someone, now it's down to you, you're going to pick what beard. And then you flick through, they say stop and you open the book up and you lift it up and it's like this big bushy beard. But when you lift the book down, you have the big bushy beard now. You have got the massive beard on. And it's just, man alive, it's a great thing. It gets such a laugh. I was kind of like, I made one and then it ended up in a drawer because I thought, when am I going to do this? It's not really a close-up piece. And then I was forced into someone offered me a gig where I had to do a bit of a stand-up bit with it. And I agreed because it felt like it was a million years away, and then suddenly I had to do it. And I thought, right, I'll do that Beard Book. That's a great opener. And it gets such a laugh and it's so clever. It's basically the colouring book, but Rune Clan takes things that we know about magic and just makes them so funny and clever and different, right? I like, if you're going to do something sort of traditional, I want to see a twist on it, right? And that Beard Book is just brilliant. And when I did it in my Magic Castle act, so basically the premise of my Magic Castle act was that I wasn't Roddy McGhie, I was Hamish McTaggart, a famous magic debunker, and I was coming and going to explain all the secrets of magic, because a lot of my tricks are like that. They're like, I'm going to tell you the secret, oh no, I'm not, ho ho ho. You know, you start to tell them how it's done. And I have a wanted poster, and then that's that I put at the side of the stage. So when I do the Beard Book at the end, because the police are coming to get me and I need a disguise to escape. So when I do it at the end and I've got a big black bushy beard, I take a bow, and when I go to walk off, I realised that the wanted poster's changed now, and the wanted poster has the big black bushy beard as well, and then I run off. So that was the end of my. But I love it. The Beard Book by Ruan Clan is just funny and different and visual and just clever. So that's why I picked that. I love Ruan Clan. He's brilliant.
That sounds like a really fun little routine, and that book was recently mentioned as well. I think that was Dave Loosely's selection. So
it's brilliant. It's got brilliant stuff in it.
Yeah, it sounds like a great routine. It sounds very, very fun indeed, but does lead us onto your final selection. So what did you put in your last position?
So my final one, and these are not in any order, as has become obvious. My final trick is Mini Book Pro by Trick Boom. I'm getting another one of their things in there. So what Mini Book Pro is, it's a kind of, it's almost, I suppose it's kind of like a cartoon possible locations or transformation thing. What happens is I tell people, I've come up with this. I got this thing recently online. Now you can borrow their phone, get them to look it up for you online. I quite often just use my own phone. And I say, I bought this thing. It's for magicians. It's brilliant. You take them to a website for the Mini Book Pro, or the Magic Book Mini, and it's a little laptop, and you can see a graphic of it revolving on the screen, and it's got like, it looks like the Apple logo, but really it's like a little spade with a bite out of it. And you see this little thing revolving on their phone or your phone, and you say, well, the only thing with it is the size, it's a bit small, and you pull the phone, the laptop out of their phone, so it's the standard kind of like producing something from the phone, and it looks like you just pull this little metal laptop from their phone. And then I give them the laptop, and they select a card, and they sign it, and it gets lost in the deck, and they shuffle it. And I say, right, okay, the laptop does all the work. All you have to do is type in the name of your card, which you get a great little bit of business when someone's got this little dollhouse laptop and they're typing away on it. Honestly, sometimes people go to incredible. I've had people go to their bag and get their glasses out and go with that, you know, so that they can look at the letter. You can't even see the letters. And some people go to incredible effort. So they type it in. And then I have them shuffle the cards, and then we look at the laptop again, and I say, oh, it says it's 5 from the top, deal 4 cards in my hand and 1 on the table, and and it's not their card, right? The standard whole magician in trouble, which I tend to fall back on quite a lot in Magic. It's not their card, and I say, well, I'll reset the laptop, you click your fingers, and when they look at the laptop again, it is now it's their card. It looks like the laptop, but when they unfold it, it's their signed card, and it appears to have been on the table the whole time, and it's transformed into their card. So it's kind of our inspiration was obviously very much came from Dan White and Dan Hoss's Lit with the matchbook that turns into the signed card, and it was Noel's idea initially, that he saw this little laptop and thought, that looks like the same size as a folded card. And of course it was. And then we just went from there, and we worked on it for ages until we got the routine perfect. And it's wow, it gets such a reaction. And you, like, so many times people pick up the laptop and you say, check the laptop, and they're looking at it or they type on it, and they have no idea. Someone else at the table usually notices and said, oh, you need to unfold it, because it looks like a little silver laptop with the screen and stuff, but it's just printed on the back of the card now. But it gets fantastic reactions, and it's my go-to kind of closer now at most tables, because you leave them with this lovely little souvenir as well. So yeah, Mini Book Pro is my final choice. I don't really know what else to say about it. It just gets amazing reactions, and it's dead easy to do as well. I think a lot of magicians worry about like folding a card or having to control cards and stuff, especially when you're just starting out. But this is like, and misdirection magic, right? Because it relies on misdirection. And man, misdirection magic is just so satisfying to perform. Like when you know you're way ahead of people. Like I do a card under box routine, and I use actually the Light by Chris Congreve, which was another one that was going to be on here because that's amazing. So I do a card under box routine, and man, that's so satisfying to do because I get to bust out quite a bit of sleight of hand that I don't normally use, harking back to my youth. But knowing that you're way ahead of someone, you know, that whole thing, like when you get a whole deck under the box and you think you're holding it, so satisfying. But the thing about Minibook Pro is it's like misdirection magic with the training wheels on me. It's so easy to do, and you have like, man, you could drive a bus through the misdirection that you've got for doing this, and yeah, you can look like a proper pro magician. I'm selling this here, isn't I? This isn't an ad, but it's true. I mean, we went to such great efforts to make this so easy and accessible for people, because that feeling of getting ahead of your spectator when the magic is done and you don't have to do anything is so satisfying as a performer. They fill it in, in between, and doing it in people's hands as well. When you put it in that in someone's hands and then it changes. Oh, it's so satisfying. I do that a lot when I'm doing walk around, and yeah, it's so that's my last choice.
I think it's a great trick. I remember when I first saw it. There are versions of this that have been out, but what I think Minibook Pro did was, number one, it took away some of the complications that were around with previous in terms of the method. Some of the previous methods were quite involved, sometimes with things being in places and multiples of things. And I think it brought it into the current age. I think it made it more relevant to now. And I also think that with that kind of trick, the change at the end, the more substantial the change, the more impactful it is. And I would argue that even with Lit, which I love and I've also performed in the past, the change kind of makes sense when you think about it. It can sort of make sense, whereas this just feels totally impossible.
Yeah, I think so. No, thanks. That's nice of you to say. I know what you mean about that. It's like you could kind of almost retro engineer it. Like you go, well, I kind of see how that might have happened. I might have mistaken that for that. But when it's a little silver laptop that they were handling moments ago, and in their mind have never let go of, then it's such great fun to do. And the great thing about it as well is that we produced it, so I don't have to worry about refills. I've got loads of them, and that is such a bonus for me. Do you know what I mean? Because I love it when I get into a track that requires refills. And I mean, it's a bit of a pain, right? We don't want to really be the refill guys, and we've kind of ended up doing that with a couple of our tracks so far. But and we try and make them as cheap as we can. But the fact that it's our track is, I'm loving it. That I know that I've got access to it. That I can do it as often as I want. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that's a great list. We've gone from Stand Up Monty, Little Door, Optics, Sponge Balls, What's in a Name, Tommy Wonder's Nest of Boxes, The Beard Book, and Minibook Pro. I wonder how many people listening playing Roddy Bingo would have had some of those on there. Certainly Little Door would have been on there, I think. So yeah, I think there's a great list of whimsical tricks as predicted, but it does bring us to your banishment. So what did you put in your banishment position?
Now, I didn't really I forgot about that when we started, and I had been thinking a couple of things, but I think I'm going to go with heckler put downs or that kind of thing. I don't know what the right name for it really, but I know a lot of magicians do this, right? And you get this whole thing of, there seems to be this sort of mindset with a lot of magicians that if you go to a table and someone's kind of heckling, they're sort of heckling you, shut that guy down. Usually a guy, right? Shut him down immediately. Like when you approach, I've heard this so many times. You go to the table and you identify the alpha male, and then you shut him down immediately and let them know you're in charge. And man alive, every time I hear stuff like that, it makes me, it annoys me, because you're there to entertain people, right? You're being paid to do it. We're remarkably privileged to be able to be paid the money we are to do what we're doing. And do you know what? For years, I would talk to other magicians about it, and I say, I've never been heckled. I don't get it. I don't know if it's do I look threatening or something, or what's the deal? I've never been heckled. And then I did gigs with other magicians who would work the same tables I'd worked, and they'd see me work the table and they were like, geez, they gave you a hard time. And I was like, did they? I didn't. There was just a bit of banter. And I didn't, and it's your perception. So I think it was my perception. I didn't perceive I was being heckled. But I think a lot of magicians going in, they're very kind of nervous approaching a table. And the minute somebody says something or they're a bit loud, they're instantly defensive. And if they have this in their arsenal, a way of shutting this guy down, they're going to use it, right? It's a defensive mechanism. But the fact is, you're being paid to entertain these people. So if I go to a table and someone's being loud and blah, 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 I give them their moment. And I kind of come down to their level maybe a little bit, and then they usually allow me to carry on with what I'm doing. I mean, it might be a little bit more difficult. It's not difficult, it's just different. I don't know. It's a hard thing. I've seen, I don't want to talk particularly, I know there's some magicians do very specific things as heckler put-downs that I frown upon. Particularly things like where, so people are going to say the same things all the time, right? People are always going to say, can you make my wife disappear? Right? I hear it every week, at least once a week. I hear that. And you can make that person feel bad by going, oh, good one, mate, heard that before. Do you know what I mean? You can. There's ways of doing that, of making them look foolish for saying that. But my job is to fool people, not make fools of them, right? And I think magicians get such a bad rep. People like, you go up and they find out you're a magician, they don't want involved because you're going to make a fool of them. And it's because of things like this, I think, this whole sort of heckler put down thing, which I think comes from insecurity. You've just got to roll with it, right? If someone's been a bit loud and boisterous, I make them the centre of it for a while. And then, I might have a little kind of friendly dig through a trick at some point, but it's all like, mate, and all that. Only when I know I'm going to get away with it, right? But I don't make them look foolish because you're being paid to entertain these people. So if someone says to me, like Bill Malone, and it's brilliant advice, and he says that you know what people are going to say, so have a line for it because you know what they're going to say, and that'll make you look dead witty, and you're just like bang coming back with the routine. So I always say, if someone says to me, can you make my wife disappear? I'll say, sure, sorry, she asked me first. And although you have to work out what that actually means, you're just saying something back that's witty, right? And they go, ho, 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 and everyone gets a laugh. And if I hear that saying, I laugh at it every time I hear it, like it's the first time I've heard it, because that's my job, right? And when people say the same things, have a witty line or laugh at their joke. Right, the heckler put down thing just makes us look all of us look bad, I think. So I would get rid of that. I know there's people that are going to be worried. They're like, what? I can't put down hecklers anymore. How am I going to cope? Just roll with it, man. Learn to deal with it. It's not a heckle. They just want to be part of it. And you will go to tables where someone is holding court and I've had it like many, many, many years ago. One of the first gigs I did, I used to do a residency for the Revolution vodka bar. And I remember going up to a table where there was that one guy and loads of girls, and he was kind of holding court. And I could tell right away he had this kind of like attitude. And I had him select a card, and he took the card out and he ripped it in half and kind of threw it back at me and went, put it back together then. So it threw it back at me. And I remember my neck kind of going red and just like, this steam coming out my ears, Popeye style, and just going, all right, you have a nice night then. And I just walked off, and they were all annoyed with him because I walked away from the table. But man, I was properly raging. But that's the only time I've ever had anything like that. And I just walked away from it. But a lot of the time where people think they're getting heckled or they think they're getting noised up, so that they're not. It's your perception of it, right? It's just man up and get on with it.
Well, I think it's important to think of it like we are all, and again, we've spoken about this on the podcast before, that we're all colleagues, essentially. We are all working for a company. The company is magic, right? Yeah. And if anyone who's listening to this works for a corporate company, they know that as soon as you bring the company's name into disrepute, that is normally you're going to be reprimanded for it, basically, right? Because you are effectively representing that company at that moment. And if you're going to bring that company brand and name into disrepute, then obviously the people who own the company or the directors or whoever aren't going to want you around that company. So it's really important, no matter what you do and wherever you are, you have to remember that your actions reflect on all of us.
Yeah, I think it's important to say that it depends on your character as well, right? I can't imagine Jerry Sadowitz suddenly going, well, he's got a point, I'm not going to, you know what I mean? It depends on your character. If you're like Jerry's been, that's a perfect example, isn't it? Really, you're going in expecting that. You know, it's like people who go to Jimmy Carr's show and then get annoyed that he says things that are offensive. Like, really? But I think, like you said, is right, most of us aren't that person, right? If you've established that character at the start, then you can get away with it, I think, if people are expecting it. But the whole thing of just sort of making someone look foolish for making a comment, for trying to join in, try to do their part of it, is just, it's bad for all of us. So, yeah, I think you're right. That's a good point.
Well, that brings us to the 9 books that you have. Let's see if we can get it down to one. Don't forget, you do have honourable mentions.
So if you want to give them quickly. So obviously, my first choice was Roy's, at least one of Roy Walton's books, because they you know, they're kind of sort of grew up in magic with these books, and there's a lot to discover in there. There's probably tricks in there that I've overlooked that I could go back and go, oh, and I sit and learn this one. But also, to be honest, the books I've not been back to for a long, long time, so that was part of a reason of maybe that's something. I'm on the island, I've got time, and maybe go back to it. But also I had to think about books that sort of broke me through from what I was, right? So from what I was into, and definitely The Art of Astonishment is a big one for me, because like Paul Harris, like coming across Paul Harris's magic, I think it was someone I knew or someone I vaguely knew said, you should check this out, this is your kind of thing, I think you'd like this. And me just, it was a eye-opening, right? Like, oh my God, this is totally my thing, right? Very weird and different and funny, unusual plots and odd gimmicks. And the minute I feel like, to say the same as I said about like David Rico earlier on, as soon as I start to see cards with things drawn on them and holes in them and corners off them, I'm like, oh my God, it opened up a whole world of possibilities. So that was going to be it. So let's think. So also Rune's World was on there as well, from brilliant stuff. But I really like, and so was Dominatrix by Tyler Wilson, which is just, that was such a funny book to read. It's a lot of classical plots that are sort of reimagined and stuff, but such a funny book to read, and I thought I would love to read that again. I lent it to someone, I don't have it anymore, and I thought maybe I'll stick that on there because I remember really enjoying reading that. But also, I'm going to lump these ones together. This is terrible. These are a lot of honourable mentions. So, Plot Twists and the Plot Thickens by Oliver Meach, his 2 books, and Only Ideas by Rory Adams. Very different kind of things. Just such creativity in those books. Such unusual left field kind of offbeat plots and ideas. So I was going to have those. And also Japan and Genius as well for the same thing. I love, like, honestly, this list here, my list of tricks could have been 8 Tenyo tricks, because I just love something that's very simple and ingenious and method and unusual in plot is really my cup of tea. So I could have just went for all the Tenyo stuff. So the Japan and Genius book has got such clever ideas in it and totally different thinking. So what I went for in the end, I mean, it's a toss-up between... So Rory Adams' book, Only Ideas, which I happen to have here, is just a little book that's got ideas in it. It's just like a little... I'll say, here's an idea for a trick. Do like the card through window in the red light district in Amsterdam. or do a card stamp with an umbrella and blah blah. You know, it's just like ideas in it. But man, what a great launching point. I mean, I think with this little book, I could probably come back to it so many times and find something different in it, because sometimes the idea that's in it will steer you down a path towards something else. But it's a great thing. Yeah, I'm almost going to go for that one, but I think I'm going to put my foot down and say the book I'm taking is the Definitive Sankey Volume 1, because Jay Sankey is a massive influence on my magic. I haven't mentioned him yet. Some of his tricks almost made it into my top 8, but Jay Sankey was a huge influence on me. Like, when I first came across him, I was like, oh man, this is... Like, I had quite a few tricks that I had thought up until I discovered that Sankey had invented them already. So I think we think in very similar ways. And you mentioned Flux earlier on. So the year that I was selling Flux at Blackpool and I was on Dave's stand, I was thinking, I wonder if maybe I'll get a little bit famous now, like a little bit magic famous, not real famous, but magic famous, right? Like, people will come up to me and go, hey, are you that guy? So I was quite like, ooh, this will be cool. And at the time, I was wearing my glasses and stuff, and I remember I was on the stand and it was a really quiet, there must have been a really good lecture on because it was pretty quiet, and a guy came up to the stand, and honestly, he looked like he was kind of like a Jasper Blakely character, right? He had like a green anorak with the orange and sort of half-mast trousers, and like he just in sort of some bowl cut hair and everything. And he had a little autograph book, and he came up to me and he went, Jay Sankey, I presume? And I said, no. And he went, he tutted and turned and walked off. And honestly, I was so crestfallen because I saw him walking towards me, and I thought, someone's going to ask him for my autograph. And he was like, Jay Sankey? No. So yeah, I got that a lot in the start when I used to wear the glasses. That, yeah, I got that. I got compared to Jay Sankey a lot, and that's not a bad thing, because Jay Sankey, man, I know he's a proper OG, isn't he? And that book is just packed full of wonderful magic and thinking, and yeah, Jay Sankey is he the man. So that is that. That's going to be my choice. Oh no, I've changed my mind. No, I haven't. We'll go with Jay Sankey. Different shine. Thank you.
I'm going to be slightly devil's advocate here, but not quite. So
I don't say pick one trick from it.
Not necessarily. So my thing was, why did you go for book 1? Was it something in that particular book which made you go for that particular edition?
I assumed you wouldn't let me take all 3, so I was like, let's just go for 1. Right? I think when you're writing it, maybe psychologically I was thinking, right, when he's writing this, or like I know Andy put it together, that when you're writing volume 1, you're putting all the gems in there. By the time you get to volume 3, you're like, you're getting a bit of filler in there. That's not the case. They're all great, but I think probably, I can't give any definitive reason. I think volume 1's probably just got more interesting tricks in it for me. They're all great. All 3 volumes are great.
Well, I think that's a great choice and leads us on to your non-magic item. So what did you put in that spot?
Rubber bands, which I'm sure other people have chosen that. And you know, I was forgetting that my island was luxurious, and I was thinking they'll come in handy for stuff, for desert island things, you know, for rubber banding my flint onto my you know, to make my spear and all the rest of it. But no, rubber bands, because yeah, I do a few rubber band tricks with them. And again, this is another thing like sponge balls, where a lot of magicians sniff at them. They're like, oh my God, rubber band magic. I know Noel hates it, right? Some people just despise rubber band magic, but I got to say it, man, Crazy Man's handcuffs. I know a lot of people have mentioned this in the podcast, but like, so I do that, like, as I mentioned earlier on, when I do the What's in a Name routine, that I take the bands off all the stuff that's all banded together, and I do a few things. I do, I do a few things which kind of culminate in me doing Crazy Man's handcuffs. And like I said this to Noel the other night, we were talking about this because I said I need to add something in here that is a non-magic thing and if I was to film that entire routine, right, where you start with the name and then I do this and then you get to the end where the name is revealed, if you were to watch that back, the moment where those bands pass through each other, you would see this just people's jaws just drop. I mean, for such a tiny thing that's right in front of them, it's an incredible trick, and it's much overlooked and much maligned. But that alone, Crazy Man's handcuffs, is just like a lot of magicians I know do it and they hide it like I did. They hide it, and amongst other things, it's as a little moment because we're almost a bit embarrassed by it. But Jesus, man, it blows people away. You see them doing that. They do that kind of like involuntary jaw drop thing when it happens. So for that reason, rubber bands, and also there's so much more you can do with them. I'm not massively into the whole rubber band magic. I do 4, maybe 5 different tricks with them, and it's always a good thing that you can have these in your pocket. I don't do them around my wrists. My arms are too hairy, and that's painful. But or anywhere you go, there'll be rubber bands. Like my local post office, because I post quite a bit of magic from there, have discovered my terrible secret that I'm a magician. And because nowadays the post office is like, what's in it? What's in your parcel? So sometimes I have to do magic tricks for them, and it's always good to say, give us a couple of those rubber bands there, and then do something with them, and then leave like a hero. So yeah, rubber bands are my non-magic used for magic item.
Yep, that's a great shout. I don't think it's one that we've had too many of that I can recall, in honesty. Yeah. So I think it's a really, really good choice. And just a great list overall. So we started with Stand Up Monty, to Little Door, to Optics, to Sponge Balls, What's in a Name, Tommy Wonder's Nest of Boxes, The Beard Book from Rune Clan's book. We've got Mini Book Pro. Your banishment is Heckler Put-Downs. Your book is Definitive Senki Book #1. And your item is Rubber Bands. That's a pretty solid list.
Well, thank you. It took us long enough to get there, didn't it? I say us. But me.
The fact that you have so much to say about them just shows how much thought that you put behind what you do, and how much you think about the tricks that you put together. But I think what I found most interesting about your list is actually looking at the influences behind the choices that you put together. So some of the people there, you've got like Rune Clan, Tommy Wonder,
Chris Sankey and Paul Harris. These are the guys, man. These are my inspiration for sure.
But you can definitely see crossovers in your work and theirs and your styles. So yeah, I think it's been really, really interesting. Now, if people want to find out more about you, Roddy, you mentioned about lecturing earlier as well, and obviously Trick Trick Boom, where do they find out about you, Trick Trick Boom, and of course your lectures? Well, yeah, tricktrickboom.com is the place to go for all wonderful offbeat magic, the home of offbeat magic. My website, I have a website which is absolutely awful. It's like about 20, 30 years old. It's ancient, which I keep saying I'm going to do an actual decent website. I'm working on it. It's happening now, but my God, don't look at that. Facebook, Instagram, you'll get me on there. Although I keep forgetting to look at Instagram. It's only when my daughter messages me. So yeah, you'll find me on there, and that's it, really. That's really what else did you ask me there? Like lecturing as well. So if anyone wants to find you lecturing, where can they go?
I love lecturing. I like to talk. I don't know if you've noticed, and I love talking about magic. I love magic, so I love to lecture. And people can just get a hold of me through Facebook or email me through TTB. You'll find an email link on the Trick Trick Boom website. And if you want to hit me up for a lecture, I'm more than happy to do it. I love doing it. I love talking about magic, and hopefully I have some interesting things to share that you would like to hear. Hopefully, people generally quite like it. So
even if it's 1% as good as this podcast, then people are in for an absolute treat. So yeah, please do go check that out. Thank you again, Roddy, for putting this list together and giving us your time.
No, thank you so much. It was thanks for taking so much of your time to listen to me ramble, man. Oh God.
And thank you all for listening as well. Don't forget, we do have Stranded with a Stranger, which is our early week edition. If you want to be a part of that, then send in your list of 8 tricks, 1 banishment, 1 book, 1 non-magic item that you use for magic to sales@alakazam.co.uk. Put in the subject line my Desert Island Tricks, that way it comes through to me, and that way we can get one of these recorded for you. With that being said, we will see you next week for another episode of Desert Island Tricks. Goodbye.
Hi, Peter Nardi here, and I really hope you enjoyed that podcast. I just wanted to let you know that Alakazam have their own app. You can download it from the App Store or the Google Play Store. By downloading the app, it will make your shopping experience even slicker at Alakazam. You'll also get exclusive in-app offers and in-app live streams. So go download it now, and we'll see you on the next podcast.